What if I told you that a single gene in your DNA could be a master multitasker? I mean, responsible for a whole bunch of traits that seem totally unrelated. It sounds a little like science fiction, right? Well, it's a fundamental, fascinating reality of our biology. Let's dive in. So, to really get our heads around this idea, we're not going to start with a boring textbook definition. Nope, we're going to start with a genuine medical puzzle. All right, let's play detective for a minute. As you see this next list of symptoms, I want you to ask yourself, what single thread could possibly tie all of these things together? Okay, so picture this, a person who is unusually tall with really long, thin fingers and toes. On top of that, they have vision problems because the lenses in their eyes are out of place. And then there's something way more serious, a life-threatening heart condition where their main artery, the aorta, is in danger of bulging or even rupturing. These symptoms seem worlds apart, right? So, what's the connection? And here is the absolutely incredible answer. It's not a bunch of separate issues. It's one single problem with a whole cascade of effects. Every single one of those symptoms traces back to a mutation in one gene. That's the mystery we're here to solve. Now, this whole phenomenon, one gene having a ton of different jobs, it actually has a scientific name. So let's get to the official explanation. The concept is called Pleotropy, and really, all that means is that a single gene can produce a main effect, but it also creates these other secondary or subsidiary effects that kind of ripple outwards. It's a key that unlocks a ton of biological complexity. To make this idea even more concrete, let's look at another example you might be a little more familiar with, the condition we know as albinism. So with albinism, the main effect of that one gene is, of course, a lack of pigmentation in the skin. That's the one we all know. But that exact same gene also produces a secondary effect, vision problems. See? Two very distinct outcomes, all from a single gene. Okay, now that we've got the basics down, let's look at a much more complex and, honestly, fascinating case. This is where pleiotropy shows its power not just in creating disorders, but in actual human survival. We're going to talk about the gene for hemoglobin. That's the protein in our red blood cells that carries oxygen. As you can see, there are basically 3 genetic combinations you can have. 2 normal genes, which is totally fine. 2 defective genes, or 1 of each, which makes you a carrier. For someone who inherits 2 copies of that defective gene, the result is severe. It's sickle cell anemia. The main effect is a defective hemoglobin, sure, but the ripple effects are just devastating. We're talking chronic anemia, terrible pain, blood cells clumping up, and sadly, it often leads to a shorter life. It seems like a purely bad gene to have, right? But here's where things get really interesting. Could this gene, a gene that causes so much suffering, actually have a hidden advantage? For the people who are carriers, the ones with 1 normal gene and 1 sickle cell gene, the answer is a resounding and pretty surprising yes. This is just a powerful example of an evolutionary trade-off. See, carriers almost never suffer from the severe effects of sickling. But, and this is huge, their unique red blood cells give them powerful protection against malaria. In parts of the world where malaria is a huge threat, this genetic flaw basically becomes a superpower. It's a real survival advantage. So, we've gone all the way from a confusing medical mystery to an evolutionary superpower. Let's just quickly sum up why understanding this idea of pleiotropy is so important. Here are the 3 big takeaways. First, pleiotropy explains complexity. It's why something like Marfan syndrome has such a wide range of symptoms. Second, it reveals nature's incredible trade-offs, showing how a so-called bad gene can actually be helpful. And third, it just highlights how deeply interconnected everything in our bodies really is. And that leaves us with one final, kind of mind-blowing thought. We've seen a single gene act as an architect, a weakness, and a shield, all at the same time. It really makes you wonder, if one gene can wear that many different hats, what other incredible secrets are still hiding in our DNA, just waiting for us to find them?